Okay, Rabbitohs hooker Damien Cook is one of the many admirable NRL players who are doing great work in the community. Now, he's an ambassador for Angelman Syndrome. It's a disorder characterised by developmental delays, lack of speech, fine motor skills, including feeding, toileting, dressing, seizures, and problems with balance and walking. Some of these angels are mobile, others are confined to a wheelchair. Now, you may have noticed Damien playing for Souths with text sprawled across his arm. That's because at every game he writes the name of a family on his arm who are affected by this disease. Now, in the hope of creating awareness and ultimately finding a cure, I had the pleasure of meeting one of these families, little Jacob and his dad Frank. And I got to sit down with Damien to see what kind of support is being given to those affected by this debilitating condition. Take a look.
He's a dynamic little player, this fellow Damien Cook. And Cook it is. He sprints in to score.
When Damien Cook is on the field for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, he gives it everything he's got.
Cook, look at him go, this fellow.
And off the field, he's no different, pouring his energy into his role as ambassador for the Foundation for Angelman Syndrome Therapeutics, or FAST, an organisation providing support and therapy to those affected by this rare neurogenetic disorder. Angelman syndrome causes severe intellectual and developmental delays, lack of speech, seizures, and problems with balance and walking. After crossing paths with a beautiful 7-year-old boy named Jacob, who was diagnosed with Angelman syndrome as a toddler, Damien was inspired to help, hoping to assist in raising awareness, funds for research, and ultimately a cure. Damien Cook, thank you so very much for giving us some of your time. Now, you're an ambassador for a very worthy charity that deals with Angelman syndrome. Most people probably don't really understand what it is. How does it affect these kids?
The best way for me to remember is it affects chromosome 15, and just an example of that, it affects their walking, talking, simple things that we do in life, and seizures as well.
Tell us about how you got to be involved.
I got involved through my manager, who's best mates with Frank, and obviously his son has Angelman syndrome, and got to meet Jacob one day he brought him down to Redfern Oval. It was a very full-on first day. I wasn't sure what it was all about, and he's just full of energy, big smile on his face the whole time, and we had a bit of an instant connection, which obviously made it really special as well.
What do you hope to achieve as an ambassador? I guess those two things, awareness and funds for a cure.
Finding a cure is what it's all about. As special as these kids are, we don't want anyone else to go through it.
So what do you get out of this? Because they obviously get a lot out of your help, but what do you get out of it?
Yeah, it's just really special to see the smiles on their faces, but it's the families that that opportunity, like seeing their kid's name on a wrist, in one of the games that we play. But just want to, do the little things that we can to make it better for them, and I've built some really nice relationships up with the families as well. Frank especially, just really puts into perspective how big rugby league is to these families, and something so little can be so big in their eyes.
Thank you so much for having us, Frank.
No, thank you for coming out and visiting
Pleasure.
us. As you can see, we've got a gate here on our kitchen. Our usual family doesn't have that, but with Jake, we've got to keep him safe and just keep him away from the kitchen.
So you're a massive Rabbitohs fan, Frank?
Been a Rabbitohs supporter since I was a little kid.
Good year a couple of years ago for you. Thank you.
That was the best time.
So your son, Jacob, he's 7 years old now. Tell us about this little boy.
Yeah, well, Jacob's my little ray of sunshine every day. He's very energetic. 24-hour work with him, like he does need help for the rest of his life.
Talk to me about when you first noticed that Jacob wasn't like his two older brothers.
The normal milestones he wasn't reaching. I'd hold him on my lap, and normally, a child will sit there, strengthen his legs, straighten up, and just, you muck around a bit. He wasn't doing that. So he didn't have that muscle in his legs, and then we go and look. It's way past he should have been walking by now, so I think we should go see the doctor. We got a phone call saying, look, your son has Angelman syndrome. He goes, we need you to go see a geneticist. They go to me, he'll never walk, he'll never talk, he'll have seizures. They just gave me the worst rundown you could probably experience, and as a father, that's something you don't want to hear about your child.
How did it make you feel hearing that?
Oh, it was the worst feeling I've ever had in my life. I just walked out of the hospital and just broke down outside of the hospital, just crying, like, I can't believe that's happening to him. He was such a beautiful looking boy, and you know, he's just got a heart of gold.
And you're powerless. You can't
powerless,
do anything.
You can't do anything. And especially like when he had the seizures, you're powerless. You're watching him seizure, and you can't do anything about it, and you can't help him in any way. And it's just, you feel useless that you can't do anything. But
what makes you saddest about the whole thing?
That he won't get to experience the things his brothers will. You know, and although he's happy, he's got a happy demeanour about him. You know, there's just things that he might not know it, but I actually know it, and I just want the best for him. Yeah.
What do you hope to get out of this association with Damien? Obviously, a cure is the ultimate.
Cure is the ultimate. You know, I've had a lot of support from South Sydney, especially with Damien. He's got that pull towards the Angels. They all love him, and they all go and hug him and kiss him, and he's got a beautiful soul himself. And you know, he's been inspirational for a lot of the families. Like when Damien first came on board, Jacob had his first seizures, and that was something new to us. We were overwhelmed, and I was just sitting there just contemplating life, and then Damien sent me a message out of the blue. Like he must have known I was at that point where, you know, I was about to break, and he goes, look, you know, everything that you're going through, we know what you're going through. If you need anything, let us know. But tomorrow's game, we're going to put Jacob's name on my hand and run out with Jacob on his hand. And I'll never get to see Jacob play football, you know what I mean? But with Damien out there putting the names of my child, it just feels like Jacob's out there playing. And it just gave the whole family a lift and cope with what Jacob and we were going through. So
It strikes me because you've got a lot in your family that you could probably be sad about, angry about, but you strike me as someone who feels really blessed.
I am, you know, we're coping with everything, we're pushing along. There's no use dwelling on the past, and I just want to see, you know, a good future for my children, and to get a cure for the little one, and just hear those words where he actually call me dad. You know, that's one thing I've been waiting for. He can say mum, so.
Oh, that is so unfair.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just waiting for him to say dad, and that'll be, you know, the day that I'll go, oh my gosh, he's called me dad. So.
I really want to meet Jacob now and some of the other Angels. So can we go outside?
Yeah, definitely. Let's go out and have a look.
Thank you. Very happy, aren't they?
Let's open that.
You'll be pretty secure.
Yeah,
thank you. Hi, Jacob. Hello. How are you, darling? So, Damien, what kind of stuff do you do? Do you play with Jacob? What do you do?
Try and keep up with him, I guess. They're all pretty energetic. He loves his balloons and that, but he's popped about 20 today already, so
I heard
we've
him.
run out. So.
Oh, how good.
But it's what, you know, see, these are the families that all live pretty close, and you know, they lean on each other to help each other out, so it's very special.
It's amazing, isn't it? In terms of future for these kids, I mean, you obviously need treatment that might enable them one day to be much more active members of the community, to work even, to that would be your dream for your child.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. To be able to pick their own path and follow their own dreams and not have us sort of trying to anticipate all the time, because you've got that lack of communication, so you're sort of guessing what you think that they need or they want. It'd be nice to just say, you know what, I don't like spaghetti bolognese, or I want to go to the park today, or something like that, you know. And that's a start, the simple things, and then just go out there and see the world.